open.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. All right, so the first thing we have is the minutes from May 25th. Which minute to review that?
If everybody read it, I'll make a motion to accept.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
No meeting mail, no appointments, right into the revenue year-to-date.
Revenue year to date, including the spreadsheet, I incorporated May's full number, because I think our previous meeting didn't have May in. So we came in at 277 on a 201 forecast, and thus far in June, our forecast is 225, and right now we're at 141, but we're roughly 8% ahead of last year's number on the month to date. So with
Through the 15th?
yeah, through today. So if you carried that into the fiscal year closing, that would put us, I'm estimating to finish the year at a 1.95, and I think we finished at a 1.93 last year. If weather stays on track and that percentage holds true through the remainder of the month, we're doing well. And Steve can attest to, we've got bodies all over the place on that golf course.
They say rain for the
Rain for Saturday, and that event has opted to use a rain date a couple weeks out and do it on a Friday rather than on a Saturday. So right now I got the morning pretty much booked, which is probably all you were going to get anyways with the rain forecast. We'll try and backfill some of those times in the afternoon to get what we can get. But Friday, Sunday, Monday, next Wednesday are all sold out. Next Tuesday is starting to fill. So I mean, we're looking. This is the busiest stretch of the season. These midweeks in June. It's tough for him to get his stuff done, and it's tough for us to
So the
push all
outing-
these people out.
The outing on the 17th,
He
Saturday.
canceled.
Who was
But I
that?
still have the one.
Rescheduled?
These rescheduled. Yeah, I'll get you that date.
Who was that, Dana?
Top shelf.
Top shelf.
Oh.
So there's no...
No 1 p.m., but I still got the morning already booked as a 6 to 8, 1 and
1
10
and
stop.
10, 6.
Yeah. So.
You got the police
You want
Monday?
to change cups? I know you like to cook chicken, but you can come change cups if you want.
I know how to do that. Huh. Do I ever?
You come with me
I
tomorrow
get in
morning.
trouble for putting them in places that nobody likes
People-
them, so.
Superintendent's
Oh, wow.
revenge is what they call that.
And I just blame it on.
As long as it's on the putting surface, you're good to
You're
go.
right. They don't like it. I just putt. It took me 4 putts to get there.
So with that being said, we're at I'm estimating roughly 1.95, where we did 1.93, and that puts our average dollar per round currently at about 54, which is on your spreadsheet. The National Golf Foundation survey industry average is 38.7, so we're 39% better than that. And in their reports, they stated that Captain's Golf Course was the best on Cape at 53, and we're exceeding that. So that basically puts us in the market leader through mid-Cape at this point. So that's not a bad place to be.
That's good. Hopefully the weather holds out the rest of the month and we'll finish strong.
Yes, weather is key.
Then looks like B and C kind of go together, salary and expenditures year-to-date.
All right, so if you go down to, let's see, where did I put that?
I have a handout. Shows the salary and the expenditures.
Yeah, well, if you look at I think Nick produced this yesterday on the 14th. We're gonna, obviously, the salaried positions are going to expend their full available budget by the end of the fiscal year. Right now, as far as my staffing is concerned, you've got, Nick is showing a balance of $52,716. I'm estimating a payroll for week ending this Saturday, the 17th, for that line item at 10,300, and the following, we have 2 payrolls left in June, estimating the same for the second payroll, so that comes in at 20,600. So using Nick's number there, you take 20,600 away from that, you're looking at 31,001 left, which I was surprised to see that there's that much left. But town numbers supersede mine, so that's where we stand.
To give a quick synopsis, if you go down past the NGF letter I, letter I on your sheet, labor savings on the operations side, I'm gonna have approximately 30,000 in labor savings, 5,000 about in advertising, 4,000 in miscellaneous supplies, putting us 39,000 saved. I have an overage in repairs with $10,000. We did new toilets and repairs in the bathroom and the plumbing. We had golf cart repairs that took place that put us $10,000 over budget on repairs. Pro Shop at overage of $6,000 coming off of COVID. You couldn't get any product, so I was basically out of stock on golf balls, hats, shirts, shoes, everything. So I had to fill what I can do sporadically and span it over 2 or 3 fiscal years. I had to get it all ready for this year's Pro Shop because everybody had stock finally. So that put me a little bit over in Pro Shop. So in total, I should have 24,000 saved ahead of my budget. My food is going to be
So when we look at
close.
salaries, we should be okay. On the total expenditures, we have 52,000 left to spend. Question is, do we need more, or are we okay with that?
Well, I can say from my end of things, with the exception of the salary discussion we just had, I'm looking probably being definitely over budget in repair and maintenance of equipment, probably somewhere in the neighborhood of about $7,000. Rentals and leases will be a little bit under budget. Telephone, it all depends on, I really can't tell where the expense is, because that's, I don't get I get the Comcast bills, but the Comcast bills and the way we pay them, it doesn't jive, so the Comcast bill will say you owe 400, but if I check with the finance department, they say, well, we've already paid this and this. So, yes, repair and maintenance irrigation is a significant overage. We lost a flow meter in a pump station, so we had to have that replaced. We also had to have the technician come out and do it. Yesterday afternoon, we had a lightning strike, hit 2 trees.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, 2 separate trees.
Splintered it.
The lightning strike took out all 11 field controllers. As of this morning, I had no way to run the irrigation system except with a little red key that you put in the head and turn it on and off. As of this afternoon, I fixed 6 of them. The other 5 I'm waiting for parts on, and unfortunately, because of the age of our field controllers, they no longer make the part that blew out. So what I have to do is get the part from the updated part and, for lack of a better word, jerry-rig the field controller so it'll work. Unfortunately, what that means is until I can get their tech out there, the power is going to be on continually to it. I can't turn it off, which isn't a bad thing unless, of course, there was a head or something that was running and I couldn't shut it off. So I'm going to try to get those fixed. If the rain schedule keeps up the way they say, I probably won't have to irrigate till the end of next week anyway. So it gives me some time to get that fixed. The trees that were damaged, there's one on the 7th hole. between it's adjacent to the forward tee on the 10th hole, between the 10th and 7th holes. And the other one was on the left-hand side of the 10th fairway. And if you happen to be down there, you can see where lightning came down the tree, went out through the rough, and dug 2 trenches about that deep, about 12 to 15 feet out into the fairway.
No way.
The trees themselves, the one on 7, it blew out the top of the tree. The tree itself is split, and because of the way it's split, I don't feel comfortable taking it down myself, just because of the way it's split. If there were no golfers around, it was the winter time, it'd be something different altogether. The one on 10, again, it's the same thing. The tree split right down the middle. And the problem with taking it down from the base is once you get into that base, you don't know where that tree's going to fall because of that split. It could come back to you, it could go forward, it could go left, it could go right. So Beaver Tree's coming tomorrow morning somewhere around 7:30 or 8 o'clock to take those 2 trees down and chip them up. They'll have a bucket truck and a chipper. I was hoping to get, I called and asked if he could get in here and get that stuff out of the way before the weekend. As far as the rest of the irrigation system is concerned, once I get the field controllers all working, we're going to have to run what's called an irrigation audit to see how many solenoids were taken out by the lightning strike. By that, if we try to run ahead and it doesn't come up, then the indication is that the solenoid's out. And the solenoids cost about $60 a pop, so we could have some, $40 a piece. So depending on how bad that is. The lightning strike actually traveled through the irrigation system wiring and blew out the breaker at the pro shop. There's a breaker box on the outside of the building. It tripped the breaker for the controls, the field controllers on 1 and 11 through 18. And then it also tripped the breaker in the pump house, which controlled the field controllers out on 12 through 17, which was kind of odd to me because it didn't bother any other breakers. The pump house was fine, everything was fine. Irrigation system was running, or it was set up normal, and at least in the breaker panel outside the building of the clubhouse, there wasn't anything else that was tripped.
This was yesterday?
This was last
It was like
night,
a
about
war zone.
7 o'clock.
Yeah,
Oh,
war
okay.
zone for like 10 minutes. It was pretty nuts.
The other line item of significance is going to be gasoline expense. I mean, we're probably going to have about $5,000 worth of gasoline bills and diesel bills for the remainder of this month. Possibly a little bit more depending on how, I mean, like Dana said, we got a lot of outings, we got a lot of golf, it's a lot of golf carts, and we got to keep that thing filled or else we're going to have people walking instead of driving. And right, I'm looking, we're probably going to be close to $12,000 over budget in that particular line item. We're already over budget in it now, and
Two weeks.
you're looking at a couple weeks. If you look at the gasoline line item here, yeah, like it says 8,997 is where you're over budget, or where it says under available budget. And you add that 5,000, so you're looking at about 13,500. And the other area is pesticides. I should be, again, let's see it here. Pesticides, that's probably going to be expense. The fertility portion of the budget, I hadn't anticipated doing a fairway wetting agent application this early in the year. Beginning last week, I pulled the trigger on that application because even though we're getting sporadic rain, we really weren't getting the water we needed fairway-wise. That was a $3,500 expense for one application of wetting agent to the fairways. So it's going to take that available budget of $2,183 and shoot it right away. And the only other thing that we don't know of is the fringe benefit, which is insurance, and I don't think we know the expense in that particular item until the end of June. how much is
I
gonna be.
don't remember what it was last year, so.
Yeah, but we never, you don't find that out until the end of June, I believe.
So it looks like it's gonna be tight. Question, we got 64,000 left in reserves. Whether we should move some to cover some of these or not. But I think we have to. I'm sure.
I mean, we've got, some positive numbers to offset these negatives, but, if we need to especially recommend something just so we don't end up in a bind of
Right,
the next
right.
2 weeks. I mean, that's what it's there for.
Yeah, you might as well use the safety net, right? I mean, the volume we're pushing, we're doing some heavy volume of play.
Yeah, we're gonna finish the year probably close to 300,000 ahead of plan.
Plus,
I have us at 277 now. Calc it on your sheet, but I only ran it through May because June wasn't completed. So through May, we're up 277, and then once June finishes, depending on where that falls.
And some of these, as Steve alluded to too, some of the expenses are driven by the increased play at the
Right.
course, right? So it's
Right,
not
everything rides with
necessarily a
it.
bad thing to have some of these
No,
expenses
no.
because it's being driven by the
Volume.
revenue that's coming in and the volume.
like the fuel thing, not only has it gone up, but the number of people playing
Sure.
is probably double your fuel for carts.
A lot of what has happened to the fuel expense is in the past, we simply looked at the expense of fuel.
Right.
And now, everybody and their brother, no matter what you're getting, they're tacking on their diesel surcharge. They're tacking on their delivery fee. I get a delivery from Reed Sand and Gravel. It cost me $192 for a triaxle to come from Carver to Acushnet to drop something off.
Oh, yeah.
Plus, that doesn't count the diesel surcharge on top of that. So and I looked at it and said, hey, you guys, what am I doing here? I mean, I'm paying 200 some odd bucks and I'm getting $400 worth of material. This isn't, I can understand it when it's around 900 or 700. And they said,
Right.
well, that's everybody. I mean, if I go to Nardone or anybody else, they're all doing the same thing. I mean, even the people who deliver the fertilizer, you pay a pallet charge.
Oh, really?
Now,
Yeah.
not only do you pay the fuel surcharge, but every pallet that you have, which is usually, usually up around 1.5, 2 ton, a pallet of fertilizer is 40 bags at 50 pounds a piece, so it's 2,000 pounds. So each one of those pallets, you're getting a pallet surcharge on. So it's just not only the items, everybody is tacking on this extra expense, which I think once we start budgeting again in the future, we have to start considering those extra numbers.
All those extras that
Yeah.
have just popped up. Yeah.
You used to say nickel and dime you, but now they're not
No,
nickel and dime
no,
you.
hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, they're hundreds and thousands diming you.
Benjamin.
Yeah. Jesus. Yeah.
So how do we need to put it to a specific line item, so you think, Ed, in the recommendation?
I think so. If we do 52400, 524-100 R&M equipment for 10,000. We do gasoline for 12. We do golf shops supplies for 6. Any other big ones there?
Maintenance R&M.
Yeah, we'll do
The irrigation, R&M irrigation.
We'll do the R&M for another 6,000 there.
Which one is that?
Maintenance R&M.
Gotcha.
Moved like 34,000.
Well, 34, yeah.
And I'll have Nick do it.
So we'll take that as a motion by Ed.
And you'll sign it.
Sure. Yeah, if you could just email it to me, I'll send it right back.
Right.
All right, so it seems like Ed made a motion on those 4 line items totaling $34,000.
From reserve to
Out of reserve,
out of
or
reserve.
just,
Yeah, out of reserve to be
Okay.
expended.
I'm okay with that.
Yep.
Like, all in favor?
Yep.
Yeah. Now we have vacation rollover.
We have a request to move from Steve and Norm to roll 1 week into FY '24. Because for various circumstances, they were unable to take those vacations.
I'll make a motion that we do it.
I believe that we, maybe not officially through a vote, but this has happened periodically in the past, I believe,
Yeah.
as well, correct? So it's not really like it's anything new this year, so.
No, in the past, actually, beginning of June, Lisa used to send out a memo to all departments indicating that if there was folks who wanted to have that request, or wanted to request to have that done, to do so the selectmen could consider whether or not they were going to have it, have that done that particular year. And normally what you'd have to do is, present, write a memo in, and then they would, so they'd have it. Normally, I, in the past, sent it to Alan, or, whoever the town administrator was. Now they, the suggestion was to come before the golf committee before it went any further.
Stuff you learned.
Yeah. So we have a motion and a second, so all in favor?
Aye.
I would like to make a motion that Steve put together a schedule of all vacations for FY '24 and for all his maintenance people, so we can have a record of it. Have that submitted probably by the end of August. We can take a look at it and monitor if there, I think it's important for people to get their vacation time. So if for some reason there's a reason it can't get done, that's fine. But otherwise, we would schedule it and see if we can
Yeah,
hold to it.
well, I had mentioned this to everyone as we approach the end of the fiscal year, that my policy going forward is they're going to have to tender vacation requests for the fiscal year in the first month of the fiscal year, so we can consider that, get it on a schedule in front of us and say, okay, you guys got to talk,
Manage it,
because
right.
we can't have 4 guys taking vacation at the same time, unless it's in December.
So you like,
So,
you like that
so once we
motion?
get that squared away, then we can come up with that vacation schedule.
So I make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
So maintenance Monday from June 5th.
Well, unfortunately, June 5th was like 4 of the maintenance Mondays last year. Alls it did was rain the night before, and then rain until about 10 o'clock on and off, with drizzle and light rain on Monday morning. We started out, there was supposed to be a window of about an hour and a half. So we aerated the first tee, and we aerated the collar on the first green and on the second green, and it started to drizzle, then it rained, and we couldn't pick up the plugs. It made a mess. So I said at the end of that, we're not gonna make mud, it smeared mud all over the place. just for the sake of trying to get something done. And once it gets too wet, the machine doesn't pull the proper cord. You're just wasting your time. So, unfortunately, it was too wet to top dress sand because you can't brush the sand in. So we went to, other activities around, basically involving, string trimming and other things, which the weather didn't really mess up. And of course, it threw off our schedule for the entire week for tea aeration and everything else, because we had hoped to get the majority of things done on that Monday. We were able to get all the tees aerated with the exception of the 6th tee and the 11th tee and the driving range tee. And we were able to get all the collars, green collars, aerated with the exception of the 11th hole and the 17th hole, which we're going to try to get out and do at some point next week. It's just that with the play and with some people being out and so on, we just didn't have the opportunity to get out there. And I can't. This was a significant spray week. I've got tees to spray tomorrow. I sprayed 6 tanks on fairways, and I had to spray greens twice at the beginning of this week, so we weren't able to finish this week. So I want to get everything treated and get that schedule squared away. And then next week we can finish the aeration if time allows. But we do have a couple more maintenance Mondays, July 10th and 24th, August 7th and 21st, and September 11th and 25th, so we'll see how those go. Hopefully it doesn't rain again.
Dana, did we do any analysis about opportunity to recover that revenue?
Recover the revenue?
Steve talked about possibly opening it early.
Yeah, we did that for a couple of years where we opened early, and there wasn't a big turnout with the population. Now maybe it shifted with since COVID.
Can you do a survey of the other courses and see what their opening times are?
Sure.
I quickly took a look at them. Some of them are open at 7.
Yeah.
So I think, to your point, things have changed, and maybe there's an opportunity to recoup some revenue there.
What time do we open now?
We open at 8. So Steve would have to change the sprinkler system so that when the players are out there playing at 7, that all that stuff.
Well,
gets
it all
prior to.
depends. I mean, the irrigation system's off at 4:30 in the morning. I have it set up now, so the last thing that waters are the greens, because you don't want them to, you really don't want the leaf blade to stay that wet. And it's, obviously your greens are your most important piece of turf, so they irrigate last. But the system now shuts down about 4:30, 4:45, unless I forget to set the clubhouse, and the clubhouse might run a little bit longer, so.
So it
because
should be
it's-
wet by 7.
It's not on the,
Well, I don't mind it being wet, I just don't want to get wet. And I want my customers getting wet, you know what I mean? It's not fun playing.
well, they're not gonna get wet, but because, I mean, like I said.
We can go around the thing. I mean, when they arrange the course that the thing there, the sprinklers are on and we're playing.
So yeah, we'll take a look at it.
What's weekend opening is what?
6 o'clock.
Alright.
So if we do that survey, maybe at our next meeting, we can see whether there's any opportunity there to open early.
Yeah.
Also, have you thought about, if we end at 11 on Maintenance Monday, starting
Well, I think
on...
last year, didn't we do maintenance Monday till like 10 o'clock?
I don't think
10
it's
o'clock?
11.
I think it was 10 o'clock. I'll check.
Yeah, we had a couple times, the original first one was 11 o'clock, and then again, we had the discussion concerning revenue, so we backed it up to 10, but, that doesn't, the extra hour makes a difference. I mean, I was, like, yesterday morning, no, Wednesday morning, I was here at 3:45, changing cups in the dark so I could be on the sprayer to spray fairways by 5 o'clock behind the cutting. And I got 2 tanks out because I got caught on the 7th fairway. And it's just, now unfortunately right now, Kevin's on vacation this week, so we only had the one sprayer. But even if he was here, he would have been changing the rest of the cups. I didn't finish changing cups until 11 o'clock in the morning because I had to run out back after I sprayed to change the cups on the back side. We don't have the luxury of an irrigation technician or a spray technician or any of that. So that it doesn't seem like a lot, but an extra hour here or there makes a big difference.
It does.
And we have, and unfortunately, most days of the week, we have a rabbit group that is literally 4 or 5 holes in front of everybody else play-wise. So if we can, so we kind of say, okay, well, we know they're going to play that day, then we will bounce around a little bit so we can come in behind them. But
Makes the day more difficult when
Yeah,
you
the
gotta
rabbit-
work around, wait.
plus,
sit
the
there.
you get so far and you gotta stop.
Right.
And then you get so far and then you gotta stop.
You're right. So
But the other thing with the spraying is use the example of watering. I'm out there, I put a wetting agent down. The wetting agent only penetrates into the soil initially as far as you're going to water it in. So what I have to do is put down about between 1/8 of an inch and 1/4 of an inch of water in order to get that to go down into the soil. So if I start spraying the first fairway at 7 o'clock, it takes 20 minutes to spray that fairway. From that fairway, you go from station 28 to station 40. So you've got 12 stations. You run 2 stations at a time. That's 6 run times, to 10 minutes. That's 1 hour to finish that fairway. So what happens is initially it works out, but by the time the golfers get out there, you're on the 4th hole, which has more heads than the first hole, and you can't start it because you max out your pump system. So then they get to the 4th and 5th hole, and they're going to be playing in a little bit of water until it runs out.
On the flip side of it, the guys that work the operation, I mean, when we have outings and whatnot, Lions outing, I didn't get home until 10 o'clock. If we start opening up at 7 o'clock, you got Isaac coming from Attleboro. Now he's got to get up and be here for that time, and you're putting extra hours on, and even more of a skeleton crew on our side of it. So it depends on how much you want to beat up everybody.
Right.
Mm,
Well, let's
see,
do the survey and see what we can. Obviously, it's got to be a balance. Have we also, the thing I was mentioning, have we thought about using a 1st and 10 tee start at 11,
On which, on,
maintenance Monday?
we have leagues at 3:30, so I got to clear.
If we do an hour on each,
An hour
Yeah.
of tee times?
right,
Yeah, I mean, if that's what you
an
want
hour
to
and a
do.
half and then clear it. Well, take a look at whether
Sure.
it's.
Yeah, I'll check that out, look at the early times. I know, I was just talking with a customer that, because we had actually instituted it at one time. Remember we were doing an early bird special
Right,
because
right,
right.
Right.
Riverbend was doing it? Well, now they're charging $77 whenever they start. And there's no more early bird specials. And the customers were like, there used to be a time you get a discount if you went out early. Now anytime you go out, and now they feel like they're getting overcharged over there at $77 on a weekday. So,
But they do it, right?
but they do it.
Well, when you, yeah, well, that early bird special, most of the time it's retired people.
Oh yeah.
So you're really.
And we didn't even fill them when we had them. We had a couple, but
So
we
you're really,
we weren't loaded.
you're digging into their pocket. If like Riverbend, $77.
It's steep.
No, I'm not going at
That's
6 in the
steep.
morning. I'll go for $50.
Sure.
Not 77. Yeah, it digs in. It's a lot of older people play that time. A lot of them. So,
It wouldn't be me, I won't play it that early in the morning.
yeah, I hear you.
All right, so, next, status report reminder.
Yeah, this is in regard to providing a status report the Monday before our meeting on Thursdays.
Sure. So could you throw out an agenda that far in advance so that we can have that?
The problem is, I need a status report from you and Steve, so I can have it on Monday, and from
So you
there,
can form the agenda.
come up
Make the
with,
agenda on
come up
Tuesday.
with the key agenda items.
Gotcha.
And because way back when, we realized the meetings were going 2 hours,
Yeah.
2.5 hours.
4-hour marathons.
3 hours. And if we got a status report, we could put it in the agenda. If any of us see anything that is worthy of a discussion, we can put it on the agenda and get it in it's gotta be out by Tuesday afternoon. So
Yeah,
if I get it by noontime, that way we can review it. Chairman Flynn can highlight key areas that he wants to talk about, and we can deal with it. Because, as I mentioned a while back, we all have been reappointed, but I don't really want to be secretary going forward. So we need to figure out how to do this. The secretary right now is putting together the agenda, and if you don't get the status reports in time, it's not going to work.
Right.
Sounds like a good plan. Bill processing schedule. I know that we've been hearing a little from the town accountants that some bills are a little late.
Right. And vendors are looking for payment, and so we really need to get, and I know the accounting group put out a report suggesting that we process all bills that are not at issue as quickly as we can. So I suggest that we do that. We put together a schedule somehow of when the bills can be submitted.
Can we put in the budget to hire a secretary? Because, I mean, for me to
Becomes
to
another
sit down and do the bills, then you gotta make 2 copies, and then, to submit, and then, once I process the bill, then it has to be signed by 2 additional people before it gets to the accounting folks.
It's a 30-day
Right.
process, the way that it is now.
Yeah. And, and right now, if I'm running out there, and I got an issue
And
where I
that's
gotta
to say
spray.
that the bill is sent on time.
Time.
Now, if the bills are sent 2 weeks late because I get cesspool bills a month after they did the service. So you get it when I get it. Some of them. And
Well,
some
so
of
make
them,
the,
some of them I wait to have a batch. I mean,
The Comcast bills.
I try to do it as efficiently as
Yeah.
possible in conjunction with the multitude of responsibilities that we already adhere to. I mean, we're already understaffed, so I mean,
If they come in a timely fashion, it's one thing, but we have some bills that get delivered here for some
that's
reason.
true too.
And they get, and they get stuck in a mailbox. And I come down and check my mailbox once a week. And if I happen to miss it, it's going to sit there another week. I mean, I just don't have the, to jump in the car, run down to town hall and check, then jump back.
Yeah,
And,
he's
and,
absolutely right.
and when you're sitting there and even,
And his
he's got
list is going through his head of all the stuff he has to do with the way that I'm jamming bodies down his throat.
And you got 100 people showing up to play golf at 1:30. You're not doing the invoices at 12:45
No.
to get them done. So,
Like getting ready for this meeting, I was at the desk tending customers with a laptop on the side, and I'm doing this. $32. So that's
Now, if we had
we're
somebody at the
multitasking.
register, you didn't have to do that, you could do your job, right?
If you can come up with a better way,
Well, that's going to come up in your NGF report, and as stated, actually, if you take a
Oh,
chance, to read through the additional information I gave you on the second and third pages, that has a breakdown of what we're looking at. So, I mean, if you guys read that, we can sit down and reconvene and discuss some ideas.
well, again, I don't have any problem getting them
No,
on.
I mean, we're
on
trying our
time.
best. That's what I can tell you.
If I wasn't being the spray technician and the irrigation technician and the guy who has to change cups and the guy who has to go out and cut tees, if I wasn't having to do that, then I would have the extra time to do some of my things. And to be quite honest with you, it's my family's getting kind of tired that I spend 12 hours a day at work, and I come home and I spend 2 to 3 hours doing work. I eat dinner and I go to bed at 7:30 so I can be at work at 4:30 to start the whole thing over again.
Texting vendors, putting in orders, doing
And it's
everything else
just
outside of the
getting to the
job.
point now
So
where
just, I mean,
the job is, when you come right down to it, we need more staff, and we have to stop paying the staff peanuts, because we can't get experienced people when we pay them peanuts. You down here on the maintenance salary survey, you had that listed down there. The average salary, speaking with people right now, the average salary that people are paying equipment operators is $22 an hour. That's the start. And we can't get experienced people. I mean, I've got good people that came to work, good, decent people, but they all have to be trained. And training is not something where I can stand here and say, okay, John, this is what you do. Bye, go ahead and do it. No, so it takes some time.
I know
So,
what that's like.
you know, and I try to set time way through the bills, but, you know,
It does take
listen, we
time.
don't
July,
mind
June,
doing the
July,
work,
and August.
and we don't mind hustling, getting all the stuff done, but a little bit of understanding and appreciation for what we're trying to get done here would go a long way.
Chairman, it's up to you.
Isn't there some kind of, I'm sure, online payment that we can go through or something like that?
Well,
You need signatures in a municipality.
Yeah,
That's
well,
through the
see,
process.
Yeah, you're right.
well, all of them
Gotta get
do.
from them.
No
They
credit
have
cards,
an exit
signatures.
process here at Town Hall.
Yeah, what they do is they'll send you they
Yeah,
can
so-
email the
so
invoice,
there-
which
there-
makes
there-
things
there's
easier.
a bump in the road from a course to here or here to the course. Because
Yeah,
it's
well,
not, it's not the same all the time.
Correct, that's the
But
problem.
you
So
know,
you don't-
one thing, when we don't pay bills on time, that reflects on the course. We do have to pay extra money for it sometimes. You're lucky that you don't have much to do with the liquor, you only use that much. But if you miss one, they're all knock off. And you're
Yes.
on cash. You cash on delivery. You know, you gotta be, it's one thing,
Well,
it's a pain in the neck, but you gotta process it.
Manny, we're
It
grinding.
depends
You gotta
on-
find
we're
time to
grinding.
do it.
It depends on, I mean, there aren't any of my vendors, with the exception of one, that have been complaining to me about late bill payment. As a matter of fact, some of them, understanding the circumstances, give you that freedom to be a little bit later because they know they're going to get paid.
Right.
They know that you're not going
Yeah,
to,
right, right.
you know, screw them out of something. But some of the other ones, which are more, for lack of a better word, utility-based,
Yeah.
like Comcast, hint to somebody who's not in the room but still here, please get the Fios or the fiber working so I can dump Comcast, because they are just a royal pain in the you-know-what. And, you know, that'd be one bill that I'd be glad to get rid of,
So
because
Steve, let me ask you, when you order like fertilizer or something, does the bill come right away? Or is there a delay in the bill?
most of the time, unless I request or unless I speak with the salesperson, most of the time, because of electronics now,
Yeah.
I get the bill before the material's delivered.
Oh, really?
And
That's how
I
Titleist is.
told all my distributors, I said, listen, I said, I understand that, you know, electronics is more efficient, but I am not processing this bill
Right.
until that stuff is sitting on the ground
Yeah.
in my building.
Yeah, right.
Then I'll process the bill.
I agree with that.
And they're all, I mean, they're all understanding. I mean, I have guys, have had guys in the past, and still, these are guys that, you know, this is why I keep the same people that I work with. And, you know, one guy I've been working for almost 30 years. If I need it, he'll deliver the stuff to my house,
Right.
and I can bring it to work in my car. Or, I mean, like today, I mean, if I need it and he's in the neighborhood and, you know, skip the shipping charge, he'll drop it off for me. So I mean, my, you know, vendors are all pretty good, you know. I don't really have any issues with any of them, except for, you know, the utilities. And, you know, the electric bill.
And I'll do that from time to time without
Those things
that.
are like out of your control.
Well, it comes to town hall, see, and then I don't know why they send it to town hall, but that delays the process. Like, I'll come in here and I'll have a stack of bills to put in Ed's mailbox. I put them down, I look up, and there's a Comcast bill or an electric bill in my mailbox. I said, geez, you know what? I said, I'm not gonna process
Right,
one
one
bill.
invoice.
So it's gonna have to wait till next Thursday. And I try to do them Wednesday afternoon so I can bring them over here on Thursdays when I come to check my mailbox.
I do them on maintenance Mondays and rain days. That's when I do them.
And unfortunately, it hasn't rained too much, with exception.
And in the last 2.5 years, we have not had a lot of rain, with the exception of lately.
And that's why you're late, right?
Some of them are late due to that, some are late because of the way that their companies run their businesses, and I don't babysit other people's business. I got too much going on to focus on what I'm doing to get this right.
Yeah, I've got one invoice that I'll be turning in shortly that came from back in March.
I just don't understand when I hear this complaints and coming from here, is if the bill should never stay in your box for a week, that's 7 days delay. And then by the time you get them, you're gonna take another week, it's 14 days, you're already getting over. Where everybody else gotta rush it to pay in time, or pay overtime to pay in time because you guys didn't supply the bills in time. I mean, you gotta make a schedule that you pick up these bills when you think they're gonna hit
Yeah,
them,
but
make a run by here.
The service is at 685 Main Street. It's not at 122 Main Street. So if you're gonna send me a bloody electric bill, then send me the bill at 685 Main Street so I don't have to run around and chase it. I don't work in the Parting Ways building so I can walk across to Town Hall to get my bill. The same thing, I mean, you know, and like the town, Kathy does a great job with the water bills.
Yep.
As soon as the water bill's ready,
Bingo.
boom, it's right in your mailbox. And I don't mean that one, I mean your inbox is, you know, your town, whatchamacallit, your
Didn't we
email
try to
box.
change the Comcast and have it sent to the golf course and they won't do it?
They wouldn't do it. And
Right.
really, the only
That
late
was
bills
one.
are Comcast and Eversource, and those are the ones who come here. Like I said, I've got one bill that was back from March, that's going to be submitted now, because they screwed up and charged us tax. And I kept on reminding him. I said, listen, finance department is not going to process this invoice because it has tax on it. Can you please send me the invoice without tax? Okay, no problem. 2 weeks go by, 3 weeks go by, like Dana said, it ain't my job to babysit you.
How about when
You-
the invoice comes and it says statement on it, but it's actually the invoice? And they
Yeah.
won't pay it because it's a
And
statement.
they
Again,
don't take it upstairs
I
because it
don't
says
manage their
statement on it.
business. I get my bill, I submit the bill. If it's delayed because of technicalities and whatnot, we're doing our best. We're
I
processing
go
it. Every invoice that we've ever received has been paid. That's our job.
I
That's
go
what we
to
do.
Koopman Lumber to pick up some material to mount the weather station. At the top of it says, quick invoice. Well, that's the invoice they gave me. It's got the charge on it. We don't pay it because it says quick invoice on the top. So,
Says invoice.
2 weeks
Add
later,
quick to it.
the invoice comes in the mail, and where does it come? It comes to Town Hall.
There you go.
So, I mean, I don't understand, because when Kevin walked in there, he got the material, here's the invoice, there's the charge, how much, no tax, everything looks great, put a stamp on it, sign it, oh, no, we can't take this one.
Too much by bureaucracy, way too much.
And then again, it has to have two signatures, and if I happen to miss
So on the
Ed,
top and bottom and everybody in between makes the, we have it, it's a problem.
Actually, yeah, this process is
everybody
lucky that
pays.
Ed's available as much as he is, because if he wasn't available as much as he is, you'd
it'd be
really
later
be
than,
delayed.
it'd be later than it is now.
Yeah, I believe,
So I think we've talked about this enough.
Yeah, it needs to be done quicker, but, you know, we'll endeavor to get them done quicker, but, like I
I
said,
don't know the way
this,
that would happen.
I just can't understand it.
well, see, it's because you're the boss, man, you pay the bills.
Right.
I tell you what, if you want my bills all paid on time, give me a checkbook. I'm serious.
Oh, I know.
I'm not kidding.
With no signatures.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
You know,
You're right.
and
That's a
make them
delay right
responsible
there.
for it, but of course, that's
But
an
the delays is in
impossibility
between.
in a municipality.
Oh,
If
yeah,
a bill
well, you
says
need
simple for
Credit card
for
and
a
then
week,
auto
7
bill.
days
Here's the
go
account number. Run it.
And it's gotta be a system that you can pick it up, you just can't blame the guys up there.
Well, that's the other
You
thing.
got 30 days to pay it, so we gotta make a schedule around it.
Well, that's the other thing, give us a credit card. Get a credit card, put on a credit card. All the expenses can go to a credit card.
Yeah, and I'm thinking that not enough for credit cards.
The credit card company will charge you a fee, and then, that'll up.
Maybe if you're late with them, you're gonna pay even more money, so.
Yeah, that's true.
Then it takes more, the process.
Right.
Now the state wants to know how much you take on credit cards and how much you take in cash.
Greens Subcommittee responsibility.
Yes, I'm going to ask that we table that. But I did put a memo, copy of the memo that Jamie prepared to deal with how to go about the responsibilities of each of the individuals. And one of them is the responsibility of the Greens Subcommittee. And the intent of the subcommittee, in my mind, was to work as off the TV as a supervisor directly with both Dana and Steve, to give them direction and help expedite the process. And that process, if when expedited, can come before the TV and be pretty well chewed out and recommendations made and approved. So I just suggest that we review these again and we'll have further discussion.
And then finally, the maintenance salary survey that Steve received from.
Oh, just a couple things about that. First of all, that's a very comprehensive survey. It's done nationwide. It's also,
Interrupt for 1 second.
Yeah, he's gotta go.
I gotta take off,
All right.
but I'll catch up with you on that because I'm interested in it.
yeah.
Good evening.
It's done nationwide. It's broken down by course type. And it's also broken down by states. It covers salary, it covers benefits, it covers other, whether you have a cost of living expense, whether you have an automobile expense, so on and so forth. Make a long story short, this is a survey that's superintendents participate in to help them in salary and budget negotiations. This is not a document for public distribution. If you did not participate in the survey and you want the survey results, you have to pay somewhere around $100 or $130 to get them. It's 132 pages long, so I'm going to go through it and synopsis it. The only thing I wanted to bring up is to give you and I, and it covers other salaries as well, other positions, assistant mechanic and so forth. And I thought it would be, I didn't just do this so I could say, okay, I don't, the average for a certified superintendent, average salary for a certified superintendent is $130,000. So I'm only, $40,000 below. I didn't do it for that reason. What I did it for primarily was to give you an idea of what the benefit packages are and what other employees are getting paid. Because the problem we have in the golf business is that we're not providing a employment opportunity that can be considered a career. We're not paying people enough, and that's why we're having so much trouble getting people. And this is industry-wide. It's just not here, it's across the industry. And instead of talking about this topic and treating people decently and paying them decently, we're talking about bloody robots to replace them. Well, a robot can't go out there and do some of the things that people do, and I think we'd be able to attract and keep people for longer periods of time if we were able to pay them better, discuss the benefits, and see how that works. Because I'll be honest with you, you look at my crew, with the exception of Kevin and two of the new guys I hired, everybody's older than me. Except, Norm and I are the same age. But everybody's older than me. Not by a year, not by 2, not by 4, but in most cases 5, 6, 7, and in some cases 10. And in one case, geez, Conrad's 80, I think. Hopefully I'm right, or else he'll get mad at me. But, so the reason I bring that up is because, I mean, I have a very good crew, a very dependable crew, they do a good job. But, like, they're all getting to the point now where it might be the final retirement time in the next 2 to 3 years. And we're going to have a huge gap to fill if we don't start filling that gap now. Because we won't, I mean, yeah, I don't know what happened to the part-time guy, part-time staff. Used to get a lot of retired police guys, used to get a lot of retired teachers, nothing now. And maybe they have other jobs, maybe they just don't want to work anymore, I don't know. But my concern is, 2 years down the road, where are we going to be and who's going to be doing all this work?
Is that survey available for each of us to peruse individually?
To be quite honest with you, I'd have to contact the GCSAA and see if they, what their feeling is on having that, because it's not for public distribution. It's not for something that you're going to give out, and I don't want to be the one that has that information, end up in places where it shouldn't be. It's not personal information because everything's anonymous. But it took the reason they do it that way is because it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort to put this thing together. And as far as our association is concerned, I think the point was that if you don't feel as though it's worth your time to fill out the survey, because it's rather lengthy. I mean, it takes you over an hour to do it if you do it right, then you don't deserve to get the results. But I'll see about having that, or at least distribute. I mean, I'm not worried about any of you guys, looking at a 132-page document and sending it out, but I just want to make sure I'm, doing something that's, within the ethical makeup of the association, so I don't get called on it.
So we'll just leave it at that.
We'll just leave it where it is for now. Like I said, I mean, it had been mentioned. I mean, everybody, it's no secret now that the department heads in the town of Acushnet have decided to unionize, and they're working to that end. And we have what I think is a good document coming up, which will address most of these issues from my standpoint. And it's also, I want to point out too that sometime here in the future, 2-3 years from now, 4 years from now, I may retire.
No.
And to replace me, you're going, I'm trying to establish a format through which you could replace me with someone who's going, first of all, someone who's going to look at the job. Because a lot of people won't look at it if doesn't pay a certain amount. It doesn't have a certain benefit package. And I mean, and so it's not, this whole idea about, the union and this survey is not just for the individuals, but it's for the future and who's coming next. Because I'm hoping that, and I think you're going to find that the National Golf Foundation is going to tell you that you have a very lucrative resource there from the standpoint of recreation, preserving open space, wildlife habitat, and what have you. And to take it from what it is and to turn it into something else that would either be houses or someone's idea of growing marijuana fields or whatever would be a true loss. And this vehicle will generate funds for the town. They just have to be a little patient, that's all. And I really think they have to recognize everybody, you gentlemen who've been involved with this for years and have gotten this to the point where it is now. I mean, to make $500,000 in 1 year, almost $600,000 the next, and to come back again with another 3, you're doing pretty good. So, but yeah, the salary survey can stay there. I'll look at it and get that okay. I mean, I've got it on my laptop. I can email it out, and you guys can go through it. Like I said, I'm not concerned about you guys going through the document of that nature. So,
As long as you and they feel comfortable, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing it. So I'm sure the others.
Yeah, I'm
would be
curious.
too.
Yeah, just curiosity of what, the whole United States is all about and how they're going about doing in different areas. Because our area is a little more unique because of the climate. And
Not only the climate, but New England and particularly Massachusetts is unique because you have some of the oldest golf courses in the country.
Yes, you do, yeah.
Not only that, but you have some of the most unique golf courses based on where they're located, their topography, how close they're located to the water.
Right.
I mean, how far is Catanset away from here?
It's right on it.
45 minutes?
From here,
Yeah,
Not even.
Catanset,
yeah,
probably a half hour.
half an hour.
Yeah.
If you look at what I'm dealing with as far as environmental conditions and what the superintendent at Catanset has to do, you're 30 minutes away, 35 minutes away, completely different circumstances.
Yeah,
Ocean intrusion,
yeah.
wind, completely different than what we're working with. And it's some of that, a lot of that gets addressed, so, in one format or another, so.
The one thing I wanted to add, it's not specifically on here, but something to vote on or anything, is just, speaking of National Golf Foundation and information, since we have the contract signed, and once I got it back from the town, I sent it down to them in Florida, so they're happy with that. And they want to, because they're traveling up here from Florida, they want to know when they can come. I know you replied back, as stay away from outings, but I mean, I have no idea when the outings are. I don't have this calendar in front of me.
I give you this, I thought I emailed the schedules out.
So we just need to, they're eager to start, is what I'm trying to get at. So we just need to, I want them, when they come up here, to be able to have time to speak with you and speak with Dana and get some of their initial questions answered.
Well, if they, I mean, I would put it this way, each day I'm available from 4:30 in the morning until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. If I know they're coming, then I'll make a spot
Right. Well, they just
in
asked
that
if we had-
time for them.
Right. They was trying to say if we knew any dates that we specifically would say, nope, we're too busy for your side, Dana's side, whatever, just to let them know so they can try and plan.
Okay,
when
the
to
best
fly up.
days during the week for me are Wednesdays and Thursdays. Because Tuesdays are spray days, sometimes Thursdays are spray days. Mondays are hectic because you don't know who's going to be sick or out or so on. And after the long weekend and so on. So Wednesdays and Thursdays are the better days
We
for me.
typically wouldn't have, obviously, outings on Wednesday or Thursday, so
No.
we wouldn't have that.
That'd
So
probably be a safe day.
Yeah.
so if we would come up on Wednesday and stayed through for a couple days, so.
Yeah, and like I said, if they, I mean, all I need to know is I set my schedule a week to a week and a half in advance. So if I know a week ahead of time when they're gonna come, then I put them in the schedule. And they're there.
So, all right, so I think that's it.
Next
other than
meeting.
the next meeting.
So, we shooting for June or we shooting for July?
July, right?
July.
So July, you have what?
Gotta be early in July.
6th, the 13th, the 20th, or the 27th?
What do you prefer?
It's Thursdays.
I got nothing, I should be all right.
I'm actually,
13th?
yeah, I'm actually busy on the 20th and the 27th, but the 13th would be okay.
Okay.
4:30?
Sure.
So, in regards to the status report, Ed, so we would need that on Monday, the 10th, for that.
Correct. By Monday noon, right?
All right, other than that, just a motion to adjourn.
So move.
I'll make a motion. Second it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Good night, thank you.
Good night.